Hi, my name's Bobby and I've got issues. Really what I'm saying is maybe I've got baggage or I've got stuff from the past that I haven't finished yet. Now what I mean by finished is kind of hard to understand because some things are really hard to finish. They have no clear ending. They have no real resolution. But they're things I think about a lot or things I wish I had done different. Stuff that just kind of runs through my mind and I don't really know what to do with it. But I'd like to be done with it. It kind of is in my way sometimes, or sometimes I find myself acting as though I were back in a certain situation. Sometimes it feels like this baggage is really scars. It's old wounds or hurts or things that haven't quite finished healing yet. It's really kind of hard to say what it is, but I think when I tell people that I have issues or baggage or scars, they kind of understand what it is I'm talking about. So what if we don't deal with the past and leave our baggage behind? Let's ask Bill, who was out ice fishing. Hey Bill, how you doing with those issues? Does it have to be this way? Does our past, our wounds have to overtake us, devouring what we try to build? Or could we change it? Another way of looking at our baggage and trying to understand what it is thinking about how to describe tying a shoe to someone, like a young child. How would you describe to young Timmy how to tie the shoe without showing him? We'd find it's very difficult to do this because it's something we've overlearned. We've done it so many times that we just don't think about it anymore. That's often what baggage can be, is it's a set of overlearned habits, things that we've done so often, or things about our past or ourselves that we try to avoid so often that we don't think about it anymore. We just skirt around it, or we act out of the same type of behaviors. And just as people, we're really, really good at learning stuff and making habits very quickly. It's been part of how we're successful just as people. We don't always have to learn how to tie our shoes every day. We can pick it up fairly quickly. But unfortunately with relationships or other areas, we also can learn some habits very quickly too, and they can be set almost in stone, it feels like sometimes. And so it takes some time and some focus to learn new habits. And part of what makes it difficult to change habits is we may not understand all of the triggers to our behavior. Sometimes we may be going along and thinking we've resolved something, and then someone pushes the shopping cart into our car and we're freaking out going, wow, what was that about? When really it was a series of triggers that occurred, both externally and internally, but because it's such a habit for us, we very quickly go through an entire process of behaviors. We go through a series of behaviors without having to think about it. This has great survival value. If you're on fire, you don't want to have to think about what you do. You want to be very well trained to stop, drop, and roll. That's what we were taught as kids. And many of the other lessons we were taught as kids, we play out as well, as quickly as we can play out, stop, drop, and roll. So old habits can often be triggered by familiar situations, and when we're out of those situations, we may even forget we had that particular habit. And yet when we're back into a context that's similar and triggers these tapes within us, we're very good at playing them out without thinking of them. A poem by Pablo Neruda. Don't go far off, not even for a day. Don't go far off, not even for a day, because I don't know how to say it. A day is long and I will be waiting for you, as in an empty station, when the trains are parked off somewhere else, asleep. Don't leave me, even for an hour, because then the little drops of anguish will all run together. The smoke that roams, looking for a home, will drift into me, choking my lost heart. Oh, may your silhouette never dissolve on the beach. May your eyelids never flutter into the empty distance. Don't leave me for a second, my dearest, because in that moment you'll have gone so far, I'll wander mazily over all the earth asking, will you come back? Will you leave me here dying? So what happens if we don't change? What happens if we don't leave our baggage behind? Well, then the risk is we can live life on a merry-go-round. Life becomes like Groundhog Day, a movie with Bill Murray, where it's really the same day over and over again. We keep repeating life's lessons, never really learning anything, just going through the motions. Freud called it repetition compulsion. Sometimes we repeat things in our life in order to get it right, in order to find a sense of mastery. Maybe this time I'll find the right person and I'll be able to heal them, and in healing them I'll heal myself. Maybe this time I'll win. Maybe this time they won't push me around. So we keep approaching the same situations, but often we keep trying the same set of behaviors, the same habits, and we have the same outcome. And so round and round and round we go. So how do we rise against our issues? How do we heal? One important piece to think about is that healing is our most natural tendency. It's not the cast on the leg that heals us, but it's immobilizing the wound until the body's natural tendency to heal can occur. Carl Rogers, a famous psychologist, said that we all have an inherent drive to heal, to be whole, to live in a congruent fashion with our world, which means that we have a fundamental good nature. And sometimes life, our environment, pushes us away from our good positive nature, but if we create the conditions in our life, we can return to being naturally the good people that we are. This means you're not condemned to live out your issues, but you can create a time and a space in your life to heal the past. Erickson framed this as growth. In healing the past, we resolve certain key conflicts in our life, and we become more. We become more who we are in one sense, but we also grow and develop and become more better human beings. We become self-actualized, to refer to Maslow, who believed that when all of our needs are met, our highest need was to become essentially enlightened, to become a higher, more purpose-driven being. So part of what's possible from growing and healing our baggage is that we can develop a more responsible way to approach the world. We can deepen our gratitude. We can deepen our compassion for ourselves and for others. And we may find a way of practicing forgiveness, which sometimes when we think of forgiveness, we think of it as a one-time act. I forgive you and we're done. But forgiveness may actually take place as a series of choices, a series of acts saying, I forgive you over and over again. But I'm not a big fan in a sense that we have to forgive in order to move on with our lives. Sometimes people do terrible things, and it puts the victim in a position of having to forgive them or to feel like they're the bad person, which isn't fair to them at all. So sometimes forgiveness may not be a goal, but resolution may be a goal. And I believe it's for the person that was injured, the person that was hurt or victimized. It's up to them if they want to forgive. The other person may express sorrow. I'm sorry I hurt you. But I think we harm someone when we ask them to forgive us because we put them in a strange position of again feeling terrible if they don't forgive us, and yet they may not be ready to do so. And we may not be ready to forgive the people in our lives that we feel have transgressed against us. So rather than trying to force that, I believe we can work towards finding a sense of resolution, a sense of letting go of the past and the baggage, and this may include a process of forgiveness, or it may not. But I believe forgiveness should feel very natural, and that's how you know whether it's time or not to really focus on forgiveness. If it feels very forced and very painful, go back to working on resolution. Go back to finding peace of mind. And then later on you may choose to forgive, you may not. But I believe resolution is a much more safe and possible goal than forgiveness sometimes.